okay, they are still Italians, but they are Irish. It is, and they, most of them, they call themselves as Irlandians, no? And they are partly Italian and Irish at the same time. And I think they give an important and good contribution to this country.
The Irlandians that His Excellency Paolo Serpi was referring to are the Italians who came to Ireland in a wave that started after the Second World War and, by the 1970s, saw them number 5,000. This was, at that time, the largest non-Irish national community in the country. These Italians came mainly from one place, Frosinone, near to Rome. And, largely because the ingredients were cheap and plentiful, they established the first fish and chip takeaways across the country, many of which still carry Italian names today. But it was some decades earlier that an Italian became the first non-Irish national to be granted citizenship in the early years of the Irish state. Members of the Rocca family are household names in Ireland, and Paddy Rocca has the story of his father, who came here in the 1920s.
My father was coming in from Drogheda one day, and a man was broken down on the road, and the man's name was Gordon. And as it happened, the man was the top man in Dublin Castle at the time. And my father left the man at home, couldn't get the car going, he left him home. And Gordon put a card into my father's pocket with his name and address on it. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, my father got a letter from Mussolini, from the Italian government, that they called him up for the war to go as a soldier fighting in Italy. And my mother was roaring and crying and took me down in the bus to see could she get in touch with Gordon in Dublin Castle. And when she got to the door, the man said, "No, Mr. Gordon is too busy." And my mother pulled the card out of her pocket and said, "I'm a friend of Mr. Gordon's." And the man brought her into Dublin Castle into an office. I was with her. I was only very young at the time, but I remember it. And she told Gordon, she was crying, and she said to Gordon, "I don't want my husband to go to war in Italy. I'll see if I can do something," Gordon said. And 2 weeks later, a letter arrived in the post. The first passport in Ireland was given to my father. And I needn't tell you, my mother was over the moon, and he told Mussolini to feck off.
These days, Ireland is still a popular destination for Italians. But they come, now, from all over the Italian peninsula. Some still work in the catering industry, though they are more likely to be found in sophisticated coffee bars or Italian restaurants with authentic Italian fare, or in the tech sector with its insatiable appetite for IT professionals. Indeed, the early Irlandians seem like distant cousins to the new wave of Italians.
Formally, we are just 27,000, but without the proper certificate from the embassy, we are more than, I suppose, the triple. And there are basically 3 different Italian communities. There's one original community from a specific region in Italy, from Frosinone, the first generation of Italians. They arrived here in the 50s. Then there's a new community arrived for Celtic Tiger, so the last 20, 30 years. And then there are Italians coming from South America, a lot of Brazilians, because they have an Italian passport, even are not born in Italy, but they are Italians technically. And the 3 communities are completely different for approach, for life, for... my generation is more, we call us Erasmus generation, we feel more European. And when I arrive here and try to connect more with this kind of people, 20, 30, 40s years old. And then in 2013, I create a radio station, Radio Dublino, where we are now. And the goal was to create bridges between the Italian community and the local community, but also between the old Italian community and the new Italian community.
But, just as the Irish come together, regardless of county, to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, Festa della Repubblica, the Feast of the Republic, unites Italians all over in remembering June 2nd, 1946, when, as the guns of the Second World War had hardly fallen silent, Italy ceased to be a monarchy and became a republic. Despite celebrating a national day, however, Italy remains a patchwork country of very different regions.
Italy has a lot of different regions, and the territory is also different in each region, so this can affect the personalities. Then also the history is a big part of it, because we are unified since the end of 1800, so not for so long, and our regional identity is still quite strong. So this makes it very, for me, rich. So I do love diversities, and traveling in Italy is a great experience, because everywhere you go you find a completely different tradition and territory, landscape and colors and whatever.
I mean, Italy is it's different. Each region is different. People from Naples are completely different from people from Turin. Torino, people are more close French. Naples are more close other Mediterranean area countries, etc. So we are very different. It is not a unique way to be Italian. I think that's a good thing, because we are very different with our bad approach or positive approach to life.
Indeed, the Italian language is a unifying language across the Italian peninsula, but each region also has its own original dialect or, in many cases, language, as traditional musician Andrea Facco, from Genoa, but now based in Ireland, explains.
We can write in the Italian language and in the Genovese language. Genovese language is not only dialect, because Genovese have the characteristic of the language, like Sardinian too, like Sicilians, like Lombardians. Language is for more people is for a lot of people is only dialect, but it's not true.
Andrea is one of many Italians in Ireland who are showcasing their own culture, and, in his case, creating fusions between Italian and Irish culture.
I found many situations with only Irish audience, and the reaction of the Irish audience in front of my job, of my music, was incredible, actually.
Eleonora Valentini's traditional Italian dance lessons have also struck a chord with Irish audiences, and, in fact, audiences a lot closer to the home of the dances.
When I started the Italian traditional dance project in Ireland, I got very surprised by the reaction of the Italian positive interest from the Irish community, the Italian community and the international community. What happened was that the Irish people wanted to experience their real connection with Italy through the dance, and they used to travel a lot in Italy, and they were resonating quite well together, the two cultures. So they were enthusiastic to try the Italian dance and the music. It's not easy even to find when you're traveling in Italy. Then the Italian community surprised me a lot, because a lot of Italians actually learned Italian dances in Ireland with me, and they never had maybe chance to do it in Italy.
Just like the dance, music and language in Italy, Italian food varies from region to region, but no matter where in Italy they have come from, food remains a focal point for the Italian community in Ireland.
They're talking always about food. Always. Sometimes seems to be the only thing, the most important thing for Italian people. I don't know.
For Italian, food is very important. Sometimes when I meet people, I said, "Oh, guy, Declan, well, oh, nice to meet you. Come here in my place, we can eat something together. Sometimes it's a cultural shock for Irish people because share food is just for family, for your small, close friends. For us, it's a way to communicate, to show friendship, to show, yeah, our openness.
Well, usually spaghetti bolognese is an adaptation. I mean, to make it more Italian because of spaghetti, but it's not real. You know, when you eat bolognese sauce, is not related to spaghetti pasta. You can have other type of pasta. And every region use a different type of pasta, so it's just the choosing spaghetti makes it more Italian, more immediate, like to say, you know. But it's okay. I'm open of this kind of interpretation. And pizza, because for me it's a sacred food, I would say margherita is the real Italian pizza. So it's very simple, no toppings, tomatoes and mozzarella and basil. That's it. So I like that simplicity of Italian food, no, so not many toppings.
When you hear members of the Italian community in Ireland speak passionately about food, it is clear that they have not come here for our cuisine. And there are other countries, closer to Italy, with strong economies. So what is it that makes the Irish-Italian relationship somewhat special?
There is a certain physical, geographical distance between Ireland and Italy, but practically there is no distance in terms of spirit, mentality, traditions, etc., etc.
What I really like here is the positiveness. People are very able to manage issue, smiling. This is not the same in Italy. Unfortunately, in Italy, in the last 20 years, we had some demographic, economic, social problem. That's why a lot of Italians are living here in other countries outside Italy. And the atmosphere is very dark and negative. And when I'm back in Italy from Ireland, I see the difference.
Tea and tea break, I think, is what I miss mostly when I'm in Italy, like the cozy aspect of the tea time after maybe a task or in the middle of the morning or middle of afternoon. And in Italy, it's impossible to have a proper tea.
We have much in common in terms of character. And this helps a lot for the Italians who come here, or the Irish that go to Italy, or wherever we operate as Irish and Italians all over the world, because our presence is very, very important all over the world. Let's think about, again, the reality of the United States, where 70 million Irish and Italians, now US citizens, live, but with their tradition, with their story, etc. It is 1 out of 5 US citizens that are of this of our nationality. And now we have an important responsibility altogether, because Italy is at the southeast of Europe, in a way, defends the border, a very difficult, dangerous border with Africa, with Asia, with the Middle East, etc. And you, in a way, are now the border, the official border of the after Brexit of the European Union in the northwest. And we are seeing and looking that something is happening here. And so it is important that the relationship between Ireland and Italy and Ireland, will be always very sincere, deep, and based on our past to get better for our future, thinking that we are preserving and defending this common European space. And we are profoundly European, and we feel this.
declancreative.com.